It's Troy Elder with Elder's Best Bakery again. This week we're back with another episode. We're going to be making a German chocolate cake today. And even though it's called German chocolate cake, if you're not aware, it's actually an American creation. It has nothing to do with Germany, which is really bad because I have tons of stories about Germany, and we're going to get into that just a little bit here because I realized I've not really made any proper introductions. I've not always been a baker or a chef or any of that. I started out in the military originally and was an aircrew member and got to travel. And then after the Cold War ended, I started to work with a company called Philips and DuPont Optical. And yes, that's two companies. Philips, which you may know of, Philips Sylvania Magnavox, that's a big electronics company, and then DuPont, which is a big chemical company. And those two got together and created the compact disc. And I eventually became an engineer in that field, and I'll get to that in a second. But Philips itself, Philips invented the LP and the cassette tape, if I'm not mistaken, the 8-track as well, and the compact disc. So they're credited for inventing a lot of that stuff. And Philips is headquartered in Hanover, Germany. And when I went to work for Philips and DuPont after the military, one of the first places they sent me, and one of my very first solo trips to Europe was in Hanover, Germany. And that was quite the experience. I spent a week there learning all about compact disc and their creation and whatnot. And I had a translator with me at the time. It was a fun trip because it was shortly after the Cold War ended. The wall had fallen, and there was a lot of Eastern Berliners there. I remember one night, I think it's probably my first or second night there, I went into some pub to get dinner and ended up staying there all night talking to people from East Berlin who had no jobs. This one lady had 2 PhDs, I think, and she could not find a job in West Germany at the time because all of those immigrants that wanted jobs in West Germany. But anyway, it was a really exciting time, and that particular night, it was Thursday. That's what it was. It was Thursday night because I got up the next day and went into work hungover from the night before. And I get there, and the guys in the factory there, they basically wanted to take the day off and just sit at work and drink. And that's something that a lot of Americans don't know either. But in German factories, they have like vending machines that sell beer in their factories. And safety, just forget about it. I mean, I saw people there wearing flip-flops and sandals at work, and one time the government tried to take the beer out of factories, and the entire country basically went into a revolt, and that died immediately. But the guys, they're like, look, we've already taught you everything you need to know. You've gotten it, down. Just we're gonna just sit around and just enjoy the day. And they did. They brought back this entire milk crate of beer bottles, and we sat there and drank and threw a blank compact disc across the room like frisbees for the rest of the day. Anyway, I was really young, and a little bit of the hair of the dog, I guess, helped. But regardless, that's a little bit of the backstory. Later I went on to a seminar at the university in Munich as well, and got to go down to Neuschwanstein and visit the castle and see how Mad King Ludwig blew the entire fortune of Bavaria on all these castles. But it's quite breathtaking. In any case, back to what we were talking about. This week we're going to be making a German chocolate cake, an American invention. There are a couple of variations on this cake. You can have just the cake and then the traditional topping that's on there of shredded coconut and pecans, and sometimes you just put that in between the layers, and that's it. And I've made it that way before. It's kind of a rustic presentation. You just have the sides of the cake are kind of exposed, and you just have that frosting on the top and the middle, and that's it. This variation that we're going to be making this week is the kind that has a chocolate frosting and then the coconut and pecan frosting is on top only. So that's a little bit different variation. But the good thing about this particular recipe is you can do it in stages, and I'm going to break it down into stages. That way, if you wanted to do this throughout the week, the two types of frosting can be made in advance, and both of them will keep for up to 2 weeks covered in a refrigerator. That depends on, of course, the freshness of your ingredients. I think one of them has buttermilk, I'm not sure. But in any case, if your ingredients are fresh enough, then 2 weeks in the fridge should be fine. So we'll make the two kinds of frosting separate, and then we'll do the cakes. And then after that's done, I'll show you how to put it all together and make it a pretty, don't know how much decoration we're going to put into this channel. I'm not really teaching cake decoration as much as I am trying to show you how to bake at home and how to make it simple and easy, and maybe give you a little information, teach you something new. Who knows? I'm all about learning new things and constantly end up every day I learn something new. Anyway, stay tuned here in a minute. We'll get started, and I hope you enjoy the video. This is Troy Elliter, Elliter's Best Bakery. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, everybody. We're going to break this recipe down in 3 parts. It's easier to do that way. The German chocolate cake is usually made up of either 2 or 3 pieces. And of course, you got the cake, which we're going to prepare as well today. That's one portion, and then it's known for this. I think it's known for the not necessarily for the chocolate, which we said is not American. That's that Samuel German was the American, and it used to be called German's chocolate cake, but now it's this German chocolate. But this pecan and sweetened shredded coconut topping is what I think of when I think of German chocolate cake. And we're gonna make that first because it's it needs to cool down and be usable for the cake. We don't want it too hot. And it's broken down into components here, and this is not by accident. I don't have this all laid out for a display for YouTube or for anything like that. This is what is taught in every cooking school. It's called mise en place. It's a French term. It just means everything in its place. And when you do things like this, you're organized, and the organization cuts down on any mistakes you make while cooking. In the beginning, when I was first learning to cook, I can remember over here trying to chop an onion up while I've got other things frying or sauteing off in a pan, and I've got too many things going on at once, and it's because I wasn't prepared. So the mise en place is important. Yes, it might dirty up a few extra bowls, but it'll make your cooking or your baking just flow like clockwork. So it's really easy. And in this case, we're going to put the half cup of, or 1 stick of butter, the 3/4 cups of evaporated milk, the half cup of regular sugar and light brown sugar, and the 3 egg yolks into this pot over a medium flame. Bring it up to a boil. Stir that for constantly while it cooks for a few minutes, just a few minutes, until it thickens. And once it's thickened, we're going to take it off the heat. And now off the heat, we're going to add a cup of shredded sweetened coconut and a cup of chopped pecans that I can't stop playing with. And then we're going to also add a tablespoon of vanilla. And you always want to add your vanilla off the heat. Extracts, if they're real extracts and not imitation extracts, are made out of alcohol, and that alcohol will evaporate in heat. So don't add that to your recipes when they're on the fire. Try to keep that off. I'm going to put this into the time-lapse mode for the cooking portion of it. There's no point in you sitting here watching all that. And once this is all together, we'll be back and we'll go on to the next part, which is an optional part, which is the chocolate frosting. And that part can be left off. You can actually just do this with the cake, and then you put this between the 2 layers and on top, and just leave the sides exposed. It's kind of a rustic looking cake. People actually prefer it. They look at that and they think, oh, that's neat. But the one we're going to make today is more traditional. It's going to have the chocolate frosting around the sides with this sweetened coconut and pecan frosting on the top, and the German chocolate cake in the cake portion. So we'll be back shortly after this is all cooked up and move on to the frosting. See you guys shortly. we're back and our mixture has cooled down to room temperature in the bowl here. And now at this point, you can refrigerate it while you're making the rest of your cake, or you can refrigerate it for up to 2 weeks actually. Just put a layer of plastic wrap on top of it like this, and then put it in your fridge, and you can store it for up to 2 weeks. But we're not gonna let it sit that long, because we're making German chocolate cake, and who can wait weeks on a German chocolate cake? Not me. So we'll be back in here in a little while, and we'll make some chocolate frosting, and we'll get on with making our German chocolate cake. Okay, we're back. We've already made our coconut and pecan topping for the German chocolate cake, and this is just the frosting, the chocolate frosting. I told you before, that's optional. You don't have to use this part if you don't want to. You can just do it the old-fashioned rustic way and put the coconut and pecan topping on top, in between the layers, and you're good to go. But this is the chocolate frosting, and it's it's a stick of butter melted down, and some 2/3 of a cup, I believe, of cocoa. I used a mixture of light and special dark cocoa powder, 3 cups of powdered sugar, some evaporated milk. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 1/3 cup of evaporated milk. The ingredients will be in the overhead, and then a teaspoon of vanilla. And all I'm going to do is put it in the mixer here, and of course in time lapse again. I will mix the butter and the cocoa powder together, and once they're mixed together, then I will alternate between the milk and the sugar, starting with the sugar, then the milk, then back and forth 3 times, ending with the sugar. Then I'll add my vanilla. And before I add my vanilla, if it needs a little bit of extra moisture, I've got a tiny bit of leftover evaporated milk from before. If you remember, that first recipe called for evaporated milk, and so does this one. And all total, it uses up all but maybe a tablespoon or less of evaporated milk. So you can use that to thin out the frosting if necessary. But if not, you don't need to do that. So again, real quickly, these two will get combined and mixed together. Then I'll alternate between the dry, the wet, the dry, the wet, the dry, and mix that up into a nice buttercream frosting. Once the consistency is where I want it, I'll add the vanilla, and then that can be saved as well. So we'll put that in another dish, cover it up, and then we'll proceed on to making the cake, and then we'll go on to decorating from there. So we'll put this in time-lapse mode again, and I'll go ahead and mix this stuff up and show you what it looks like when it's done. Hi, it's Troy Elder, Elder's Best Bakery. Back again. In case you haven't noticed, it's gotten dark on us. A few little things happened. I got the frostings made and finished, as you can see. And then shortly after that, I got a big order in for the bakery. And then I realized I needed to finish up this video, but my maid, which is really just a robot vacuum cleaner, started vacuuming, and I didn't want to make the video while that was going on, so I decided to take a walk while it finished. And I came home to find the vacuum had trapped itself in the bathroom, and it shut down maybe 10 minutes after I left, so I wasted all that time for nothing. Anyway, since I had so much work to do, and bakers often have to start their days early, and I needed to get in touch with the pop-up kitchen and all that, because we're under right now we're trying to get our artisan or cottage bakery license set up, and that requires a Department of Agriculture getting involved. It's not under the health department. We're not like a restaurant. We are a food manufacturer. And when you want to do that from home, the Department of Agriculture has to, come in and approve you. And and we've got everything set up for that. It's just a matter of them getting out here and doing it. And until then, we'll have to keep doing the pop-up kitchen thing for sales for the bakery. But as far as the YouTube goes, you know, that I can still do at home, no problem. There's nothing against, no rules against that whatsoever. So we are back, and I will finish this video up tonight so I can get it to you guys by Friday. It's now Thursday morning at about 3 a.m. And I've been up for about an hour or two getting everything prepped. So all we have left to do in this recipe is we need to bake the cake, get that cake baked, and then I can put the crumb coat on it and start decorating it. And we'll have that puppy finished by daybreak. I can promise you that. So just hang tight, and I'll get all the stuff ready for the cake preparation, and we'll go through that together and continue on with this video like nothing happened. So enjoy, and be back shortly. Okay, we're back again. The oven is preheated. I'm just waiting on the water to boil, and once the water boils, we can get this thing mixed up. The recipe just calls for the wet ingredients to be mixed all together, including the vanilla, and then the dry ingredients incorporated into the wet. So I'm just gonna put these in the mixer and then incorporate this in slowly. We just want it to get mixed together good. Again, we're not gonna build up a lot of gluten or anything by over stirring. As you can hear, the water's ready to go here. So now that we've got some boiling water there, I'm gonna take this over into time-lapse mode, and you'll get to see this all mixed up. And then I'll pour it off into these two cake pans here, and then put them in the oven and bake them for 20 to 25 minutes at 375, like I said before. And once they're done, we'll be back in regular speed, and we'll start decorating that cake and getting it ready to eat. And I cannot wait. This is going to be a delicious cake. So next time you see me, we'll be picking hot cakes out of the oven. Be back shortly. Okay, well, we're back again. The cakes are nice and cool. And we're going to start with decorating them here. Now, you might notice, once I start here, that they are not exactly even in size. And, you know, at the bakery or whatever, we would, you know, pour these in and measure them, or weigh them actually, so that they're the same size, always by weight, which is something else I meant to bring up earlier, and that is this recipe has cup measurements in it for flour, and I previously told you that when you're baking, you should always weigh things. Well, unfortunately, you know, here mainly in America, we are stuck on the volume measuring system, and they love doing that. So if you find recipes and they only have measurements in cups and things like that for the dry ingredients, what I recommend for your flour, if it calls for a cup of flour, take a tablespoon in your measuring cup, and take a tablespoon of flour and put it in the cup, and fill the measuring cup up with flour, and then level it off at the top. And that's going to be your best bet on getting the right amount of flour. I mean, you don't want to dig the measuring cup down into your flour and scoop up everything, because that will compact the flour and you'll end up with more flour than you need. Okay, so keep the measuring cup separate and just fill it up with a spoon or something, and then level it off the top and into that. Okay. Other ingredients like sugar and things like that do not matter as much as really mainly the flour that makes the difference. So I've got a nice cold cake, and I've got the frosting here. I'm going to start with this, and we'll put this on, and we'll put the topper on, and I'm going to stop it here and bring the camera over closer and put us in time lapse so that you can watch all this and not have to sit here and listen to me ramble on. I could tell you stories about Germany, but we've already talked about the fact that this is not a German cake. It's a German chocolate cake, and the chocolate was invented by a guy named Samuel German, who was an American, not a German native. So in any case, we're going to get started here on the decorations, and we'll bring the camera up close and put it in time-lapse mode again, just like we did last week, and you'll get to see this thing come together. back. Got that time lapse done of how the cake was decorated and everything. Did not shoot any video of the finished cake. I'm sorry, I got too excited and we went ahead and just dove into it. And it's a really awesome cake. I've been eating some of it now, and it's all basically gone. I've got a quarter of it left here behind me, but that's only because I'm guarding it. It's spoken for already. I think my niece and nephew want the rest of that, so they'll be getting that. The cake turned out really, really good, y'all. And it's super moist, and that comes from adding that oil. Whenever you have a cake that has oil in it, you're gonna get a super moist cake. That's the secret to moist cakes, by the way. And if you didn't know that already, is the oil. Now, adding espresso to this would have elevated the flavor up some. I didn't do that. I should have done that, but just a teaspoon of instant espresso powder will elevate any chocolate recipe up to the next level. So we could have done that, but we didn't. Now for next week, I'm gonna keep it in the baking category. I don't know exactly what I'll be baking just yet, but it'll be something. And I'll teach you how to do that. And then I was thinking ahead for the future that we would go ahead and do some cooking episodes as well, how to cook at home, and we'll break that down like by cuisine. We'll have Italian, we'll do American, of course, and Southwestern, Asian, Indian. I mean, we can just take it as far as you would like or imagine. Now, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the video. It's very important that you subscribe. That means ringing that bell. That'll get you a weekly notification that the video is available for you to watch. And it also helps the channel out. So for those that have already subscribed, thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. And for those that are watching now that haven't subscribed, please do that. That really helps out a lot. Again, this week was German chocolate cake. We went through and showed you how to make that at home. I hope that you were able to follow along and you made it yourself. And if you did, make it and try it. Give me a shout out in the comments. Let me know how it turned out. I hope it turned out well for you. Or if you have any questions or advice, comments, suggestions, anything, just leave it in the comment section, and all of that will be taken very seriously, and I appreciate any feedback that you can give. So until next week, hope you have a great weekend and enjoy your cake. Have a good one.